Welcome back to Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Chat Network. I'm your host, Niko, joined today once again by my co-host, Chris. How you doing, man?
Hey,
and
all good here.
Yeah, Comic Shop Talk, the weekly comic book review show where we discuss this week's new weekly releases that we ended up picking up and reading, give you a little quick review for them, our thoughts on it, a rating, and then let you know what we're looking forward to reading next week. So, you guys can kind of join in and let it, and kind of give you an idea of maybe some of the hot new releases that we're looking forward to checking out as well. I want to give a quick plug for, of course, all of our other shows here on the Late Night Chat Network. But most importantly, since it does have to do with comics, as I mentioned last episode a couple weeks ago now, I put up some new comic book hauls for the months of November and probably October previous to that. You can always check those comic book haul and review videos that I do for the collected edition comics that I pick up and read throughout the every month in the playlist on the Late Night Chat Network YouTube channel here. But most importantly, we're here to talk about this week's comics, of course. So, without further ado, we can get into that. Chris, is there anything you wanted to add before we get into it?
No, let's get into it.
All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. So this week, let's start off with a big release here. And I should preface this by saying Chris had just mentioned he's about halfway through reading this one prior to recording time today. So I'll try to keep the spoiler that occurs at the end free from Chris as well, because it is a highly anticipated release. And also, guys, I should mention, of course, as always, to discuss these books and, give our thoughts on it, sometimes we do end up having to talk about the spoilers. If there is something we kind of want to keep out of the conversation, we'll try our best to do so. But, if you do have to read your books prior to checking this show out, then do so, come back and then take a look at what we have to say. So there may be spoilers. Warning. Right, Chris? What are you thinking so far of this, man?
All right. Well, I got Devil's Reign 1 here. I got one of the variant covers.
Okay.
And so far from what I read, it's looking good. I got a bit of a Civil War sort of feel or vibe to it, like at least from what I read, whether they're kind of roaming around in the basement there, seeing Spider-Man with the other heroes, or Daredevil with all the other heroes. I'm liking what I've read so far, and it's making pretty good sense too. I think it's drawn very well. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head, Chris. I absolutely agree with the Civil War feel to it. It did feel familiar at first. When I started reading it, it did feel very Civil War-ish, just kind of because they're kind of in the city. It's kind of affecting all the street level heroes. It's like a Civil War for the street level heroes, kind of New York, it seems like. You know what I mean? They're all kind of, it's always like Power Man and Iron Fist and like Daredevil and Spider-Man and Moon Knight. And then the street level characters are some of my favorites. So like for that reason, although it does feel like Civil War, I still quite enjoyed it. I mean, Marco Cicchetto, the artist, was the main artist in a lot of this Daredevil series leading up to this event with the same writer. Obviously, he went off to start drawing this thing because this is a 6-issue miniseries, right? Prior to the end, and I wasn't feeling the art as much on that series that, even if you go back to my comments last episode, right? But this looked great. I mean, it looked amazing. The art was just another level. Honestly, it's art worthy of this event leading into this. Right?
You can see the Kingpin there. You can see the hate in his, just in his mood or in his face or the way they draw. I'm like, oh, that was a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, some big happenings happen towards the end, which I won't get into because I want you to end up finish reading it and for yourself. But I will say, I will highlight my favorite moment of the issue, though. It's got to be when they basically shut the Fantastic Four down. They take them in. I don't know if you got to this part.
Yeah, pretty much right where I'm at, and Doc Ock shows up.
Yeah.
Well,
so right after that. Yeah, right after that, or just around that same moment, they pan to the thing and with the Human Torch, and the thing has the some of the younger members there that are, the younger members, like there's his nephew, like they're
the kids or whatever.
Yeah. So their daughter and son, right? Because they take down Reed Richards and Sue, right? And so they're all together still, and he kind of gives them a buzz, like kind of give them a heads up, like a warning. And the thing, they jump in and they start shooting at the thing, and he has to protect the kids. And then he busts right out of a window. It's just like, honestly, he's just like, the look on his fucking face is like, I'm gonna kill you guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, you're gonna put my family in danger like this.
Yeah.
Like, he grabs them and busts out the window. I was like, that's a great scene. Like, just seeing the people evacuate the situation and trying to like get to safe havens, like, and stuff like that. Like, try to, you know what I mean? Like, kind of scramble and get everything together.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, and Elektra looks great in it. So some great stuff going on here, man.
Yeah. It's just nice seeing all the heroes involved too, like just everybody's, every new page you see who's going to be, and the villains that are involved too, like kind of everybody's taking the sides and where they stand.
Yeah, there's some good, like, the task force of guys that have been like hired essentially, to take them down, or some interesting villains. Like, there's like a crazy huge Rhino in this, like Rhino, and like,
when those guys showed up to take down Miles Morales or something.
Yes,
that was pretty good there.
U.S. agent. There's like a symbiote chick. I don't know which one that is. Toxin. I don't know which one it is.
You gotta really see who's where. Yeah,
so
Rhino's looking awesome.
I mean, again, the art is great. I mean, look at that. That Spider-Man, like, So I really liked this first issue. There was a lot of setup because it kind of had to be done because this is the first issue of the event. That may have slowed down maybe some of the action beats that kind of came afterwards. But for me, I know maybe it's hard for you to say because you haven't finished it yet, and it does end on a great note. I gave it a 4.5. It was very close to being a 5 for me this week, but just because of all the setup, kind of once it got kind of got in the familiar feeling of the Civil War, once I got over that and it really got into the storyline, it was off to the races for me. I thought it was great start.
Yeah, same for me. I was thinking an easy 4+. I haven't seen what the spoiler is at the end, and that could easily pop it over the top.
Yeah.
Loving it so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So check it out, guys. Devil's Reign. It's a 6-issue event. And there's also going to be some really good, it looks like, tie-in miniseries that are going to be spinning out of this. I know Chris and me have already talked about checking out a couple of them. I mean, most notably, there's going to be an Elektra 3-issue series, which is going to be like her as just like, I guess, as this Daredevil current Elektra that's going on right now. And then there's an X-Men one. So there's some good stuff. There's a Spider-Man one, I think, and a Moon Knight one. Yeah, there's some good. I mean, again, it's all the street level characters. So I really enjoy those guys. So I probably will check out a few of them.
Yeah, most likely me too. It's nice seeing Moon Knight in the comic too there.
I love Moon Knight. Yeah. he looked badass in this too. Like, the artist did a good job of like, these are kind of like his versions of them. I feel like I don't think that they all currently look like this in their comics, but like his interpretations of these characters are very well done. I thought, that's for sure.
Yeah, puts Fear State to shame, I must say.
Yeah,
like, I don't know if it's the same idea, but like the city's going to be under lockdown, and that Fear State, you never felt there was any sense of lockdown going on, and here, right off the bat, you can, you got the heroes freaking running to the sewers already.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why that thing moment for me, I was like, this is great. Like, I mean, I don't know if they would be able to take them down that easy, but like, Reed and Sue, they're not fighting back. They were kind of like, what the fuck's going on here? Right?
These are still, these are the elected people. These aren't villains coming after them. These are, it's the police coming after them.
Yeah, and again, guys, so anybody doesn't know, it's that whole thing about Kingpin being the mayor, basically saying that heroes are villains, essentially. Like, they shouldn't be able to do everything they're doing, and you know what I mean? Like, and they're basically like, they're not allowed to operate anymore in the city. So that's essentially what's happening. They're cracking down, right? So, going around busting heads. They got their squad, their task force kind of out there trying to take down the heroes, right? And they're kind of like, what the hell, man? Like, we're respected members of this community too. We save people, like, we make a difference, right? Like, so it's interesting. Like, it is definitely that Civil War kind of, Cap was in this issue. So yeah. Check it out. Great start. All right, next up, we got Inferno number 3. I don't know what cover you ended up picking up, Chris.
I just picked up the regular cover too, Inferno 3.
Yeah. How about this? What'd you think of this? I think we got one more issue to go in this 4-issue miniseries. What were your thoughts on this one?
That's not bad. It's a very cerebral issue, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
It's not an action comic. After reading these comics, after reading a few of like the X-Men titles, I find I'm enjoying them more than Inferno itself. But it's a good story. And I think from reading this comic, it's almost making me not like the mutants so much. Because, it's almost a mutant versus human sort of war that's going on. And, the mutants always were there before, kind of, either trying to stop other evil mutants. But now it looks like they're going after the human race. And I'm almost siding with Nimrod and all those guys there,
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully they'll kind of turn things around and make these heroes again. Or at least have them kind of keep to themselves and fight amongst themselves.
Right.
But, yeah, what did you feel about it?
Yeah, that's definitely, I think, the effect of what you described, like Hickman's X-Men issues is it is a lot of people standing around, posturing, talking, kind of threatening one another. Conversations are, side deals are being made, serious conversations are being had. That's a lot of his kind of writing. It seems like a lot of great setup and kind of long form storytelling is what Hickman, the writer of this, and kind of, I guess, the guy who kind of created this whole kind of direction for the X-Men these last few years is good at, I would say. Yeah. So yeah, with one issue to go, I'm just like, how the hell is this guy going to tie up any of his loose, I mean, it seems like the only thread he's going to really tie up with this, if this issue is any indicator, it's just the Moira McTaggart thing about her being a mutant and maybe her being taken down. But like you said, in a lot of his run so far, it's felt like the mutants are the enemies, essentially. They've become so, it seems like, enthralled by this idea of this new society and stuff like this, that they're basically becoming the bad guys themselves. Like, and, many people have said that about Professor X and Magneto, right, before. Like, they are essentially... right, they have radical ways of thinking, and it seems like at this time they're kind of like, we're not going to get pushed around no more with this whole direction. And
that's it. I did like the White Queen in this one here. She had a good role to play there, yeah, that was a nice. I don't want to call it a swerve, but she seems to be looking out for herself and doing what she thinks is best. So that's always good.
Yeah, that was my favorite scene of the issue. Was there's a scene with her, Mystique, and Destiny, Mystique went and spoke to her, and she basically gave them a heads up, like, these guys are aware, they're coming for you. You've lived these lives already, and they're aware, like, and they know, and they're coming for you. And then they don't have any recollection of this, of course, because Moira, every time she resets the timeline, that's kind of how it goes. Like, you don't have any recollection of that. But she was able to look inside their minds and figure out that they've been plotting against her. And they kind of were like, so you're not going to do anything? She's like, I'm telling you. So that's all I'm doing. Like, I can't fix sides right now. So she's like, you're getting tired of all, like, the men, they basically doing what they do all the time. And, like, you know what I mean? Like, just kind of like disregarding you or whatever. And she kind of gives them like a dirty look, you know what I mean? There's a little bit of a good exchange between those three, kind of like, they're like, kind of join us. And she was kind of like, listen, I can't get involved. Like, I'm giving you a heads up. They're coming for you. I got to kind of stay with what I'm kind of, where I'm at right now, and wherever kind of everything else lies at the end of this, like, that's up to you guys. So yeah, so it's coming to a head. I don't know what exactly is going to happen. I don't know if Magneto or Charles are going to get taken off the playing field. There's no end in sight for this direction of the X-Men, though. I mean, like, in terms of like the Krakoa and everything like that, it seems like all these new books are coming out by March, like you said.
Yeah, like, I think this is more of a lead up to the Immortal X-Men, because I was reading what that Immortal X-Men is about. Basically, it's going to be the Quiet Council or whatever, and kind of all how they rule Krakoa or something.
Right.
But I did like the timeline they put in there, where they try and figure all this stuff out. Like, from Days of Future Past, and when Nimrod was sent back, and why he was sent back, and what happened there, and kind of all the times Moira McTaggart reset the timelines and things like that.
Yeah, I had to reread a couple of scenes in this issue, like you said, very cerebral, like a couple of times. Like, I had to understand really what was going on. And the big thing I had to wrap my head around was the concept they started the issue with at the start, with the fact that Warlock is somehow infused itself into Krakoa, and they were feeding off of one another somehow.
Yeah, and that seemed to be some big reveal that Krakoa didn't need to feed off them anymore. Like, I don't know why that's a big reveal, but
the big thing, I guess the big takeaway from that is that Warlock, what's his name there? He's able.
Cypher, yeah.
Cypher has been able to figure.
Right.
He basically knows everything that's going on, that goes on.
Yeah, he's like the conscience of the conscience. Yeah, the
like
conscience
the
of the
mainframe,
island,
essentially, of the fuck. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he can see everything, and there's nothing hidden from him. You know, there's no secrets from him.
Yeah, so that whole scene, it took me a couple of reads to kind of really understand what was going on. You could quickly have glossed over that and been like, what? Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, who cares about this? Blah, blah.
It's a pretty out there concept. But once I reread it a couple times, I was like, you know what? That's kind of interesting. So,
yeah.
I don't know. What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 3.5. Not much action, but it's a good read. It's interesting. And, you know, I think it anchors all the X titles, really, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna give it also a 3.5. Well, I'm gonna give it a 3.75. How about that? Because I'm kind of somewhere between a 3.5 and a 4. I thought the art was great throughout as well. I should mention.
Yeah.
There was a couple of different artists in this one, but it looks seamless. Like their styles.
You didn't tell me, I would have known.
Yeah, their styles are all kind of very good and similar looking. And it's a great looking book, that's for sure. I'm looking forward to the last issue, but I'm also looking forward to what's going to happen after this, right? So I mean, it's a solid read though, but not as great, I think, as the setup of this whole kind of direction.
Well, once again, they can't call this Inferno, and you know, like when this came out, you know, like what was it, like Mystique is like, I'm going to burn this place to the ground. And I thought this was going to be like freaking hellfire, and they're going to destroy the island, unless this still happens in the next issue, but it doesn't seem to be leaning that way.
Right. Yeah. No, agreed. Okay. So next up, what do we got here? Batman 118.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it is a big one. So this is the new Chris, why don't you show off your awesome looking cover there for
I got here the 118 Batman.
Let's see this.
I think Todd McFarlane homage. And then I got freaking suckered at the local comic book shop I went to. They didn't pick up too many comics, and they just had this sitting on the shelf there. The 1 in 25 Virgin variant.
Wow, with no words on it.
Yeah, no words.
That's awesome.
That's the top loader. That's top loader worthy for me.
It is. That's nice. That's nice. So that's of course the homage to the Todd McFarlane Spider-Man series that he launched through Marvel, written and drawn. So what did you think of this one, Batman 118? So this is the new writer, I should mention, Joshua Williamson, and what's his name, Molina on art. I forgot his first name, but yeah, this is the new direction I guess the book is going in with the new writer, George Molina, and Mikel Janin drew this. So yeah, what'd you think?
Yeah, I think the art is great. I'm happy that it stayed with a decent art style, and the story, I guess, is just kind of laying the groundwork for what's going to happen. No, I like there's a nice, good few panels of Batman kind of just being Batman, and yeah, basically that's the panel I was thinking about there when he scared off those just those low-level thugs there just by being Batman and chasing them to the police. And it's nice having the Oracle, I guess. I don't know if Oracle was always in Batman's ear. I forgot about that.
She has been for a while. A while.
That was a good little play there when they went to the ball there. I guess
costume party,
billionaire ball.
Yeah,
and everybody's dressed up as a villain to make things a little bit more confusing for Batman.
Yeah,
and yeah, that was a pretty good issue. I don't know if that's a spoiler at the end of who shows up there. I don't know if you want to say that, but that was an interesting twist.
Yeah, I do. I do want to mention that. So the big reveal at the end here is basically, it looks like, is he off to Japan? Is that where he's going? He's going somewhere else in the world. Like, I know that. So
he's following some Batman Incorporated. I haven't heard much about them, but it just sounds, I don't know if I guess they've been around before.
Yeah. So Batman Incorporated is a group of other Batmen that work under him that around the world. Essentially, they represent different countries, and he kind of had all these bat caves. It was established, I guess, in the 2000s that like this whole storyline with the Batman Incorporated is that he has bat caves kind of all around the world, like different areas. Yeah. Like if he ever goes to
like safe houses or whatever.
Exactly, and then there is some people that he's self-appointed in those areas to basically use like the bat symbols in some regard, in some sense, and you know, not fully representing him, but they're kind of that Batman of that region, and kind of like they report back into him about stuff he should know about, things like that. So I've always liked the Batman Inc. idea because, like, if thinking the way Batman is, I know it's a big deal for him to let other people in and actually be a part of this thing, but there's no way one man with no superpowers like him can actually like be invested in everything going on in the world like he is. So like it actually made a lot of sense when they came up with that concept, I thought. So yeah, so by the end of this issue, like, you find out that Batman Inc.'s been framed for murder, but it seems like they did murder somebody, a bunch of them, and then they disappeared, and now he's trying to figure out like what made them basically kill this person, and some kind of like
and that was the Abyss, right? The character that they called the Abyss.
Yeah, and by the end of this, it turns out the person that ends up showing up, you know, where his trail leads him, essentially investigating this mystery, is none other than Lex Luthor, because he has apparently, I guess, money involved in you know, he's protecting his investment, he says when he shows up at the end. So I guess wherever I think it's Japan. Yeah, they killed Abyss. That's who they ended up killing. I can't
Yeah, I don't know where like they talk in different languages, but I don't know if it's like some fictional.
It seems like
land in the east somewhere.
Yeah, it's just I don't think it's actually Japan, but it's like something I think that's like an Asian country somewhere.
Yeah, it's like they're Madripoor or something like that.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, that's what I got. Anyways, yeah, I really enjoyed this. I think this is a great new direction for the book, honestly.
Yeah, I'm happy to see, you know, some new characters in there, some new villains, and I'm down for the ride.
Yeah. What'd you give this one?
I'll give it a 4.
I think I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I thought it was a really, really solid start. I thought the art was amazing. I thought the setup and the direction of him leaving Gotham finally, because there was that whole exchange between him and Barbara as the Oracle. She was just kind of like, listen, like, you know, people are actually happy for once. Things are good. Yeah. After fucking years and years of bullshit and events like Fear State and everything else that's happened, she's like, things are good right now. She's like, you know, take a breath, take a breather, take a moment away. Like, she's in, and then by the end of it, you know, he's doing his Batman thing. He's like, nah, you know, I gotta be on the lookout for shit. And all of a sudden there's something going on somewhere else in the world. He's like, all right, I'm leaving Gotham for a few days, and he fucks off by the end, right? So I was like, you know what? That's good. Remove him away from all this fucking Fear State. I'm gonna get the hell out of here.
Yeah, that's it. Send him somewhere new. And I did like the scene with that little punchline girl that was trying to get his autograph at that billionaire's ball.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny. But
yeah.
Anyways.
No, just a solid start. I think the writer made the right choice by like getting him as far away from everything that's occurred with his fucking year-long event in the first issue, and you got me interested in the next one. Like you've done your job.
Having Lex Luthor there, and
you've done your job.
Just taken a whole different way, you know.
Yeah, you've done your job, honestly. So yeah, that's a solid start. Okay, next up, I got I'm going to be talking about One Star Squadron.
Ooh, nice.
So this is a funny book. I actually only ended up pre-ordering the first issue because I think I second guessed it, and I was like, you know what, this might be better read in a trade paperback, all collected. And I think I'm going to stick with that after reading this first issue. It was a bit of a slow start, but it's a very interesting concept. It's basically like this, like I think like a heroes for hire type of organization. Essentially, it's run by a bunch of like C and D list kind of heroes from comics that are very obscure, that you might know, you might not know, that from the DC universe. I think the most high profile person that's in it is Power Girl, like the person that I would know the best. But Red Tornado is in it. He basically runs the office day to day. It's like an office fucking storyline about these heroes that are basically they're looking out and getting gigs for other heroes, like heroes that don't have like jobs, or heroes that don't know basically what to do with their powers. They come to this place and they basically help them out. And then also it's kind of like almost like it seems like a social work kind of aspect to it too, because there's a hero in this Gangbuster, I think his name is, from like Superman comics from back in the day. Like he comes there and he seems like he has amnesia and like trauma, and like they're trying to figure out where his home is, like where he lives and everything else. But it's kind of all done with like a satirical aspect to it. So it's funny as well, but it's also kind of sad at the same time. It's like all these pathetic fucking heroes that like you're just like these guys are such, like, you know what I mean, like hopeless, like, you know, like individuals, and this organization, it seems like, is trying to help them, but you know what I mean. But it's one of these things that, like, you know, there's not everybody can be a Superman or a Batman essentially out there, right? So it's a very kind of.
I saw some preview panels of that comic there. Don't they have them like, doing birthday parties and things like that? Or
yeah. So it opens up with basically like an infomercial for this place. It's like, you weren't born a hero. You made yourself one through hard work and years of dedication. But not every hero gets the Justice League treatment. And like, it's very funny. And like, you see all these like, these like scenes of like the Justice League and stuff like that. And then like you cut to the next one. And basically what you said, you see like some of them acting as security guards at events and some guy at a birthday party entertaining kids. So like GI robot. So it's all like these like people from DC Comics history. And the artist they do is a very like, he's a good comic like cartoonist that does like great sight gags and stuff like that. It's Steve Lieber. So he's done a lot of other funny books before in the past for DC, so this is right up his alley. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading this. I think I'm just going to wait for the trade for this one though, but I highly recommend it. If you guys are looking for like a fringe book, like something on the outside of all the big events and shit that are happening in comics, and just like an interesting take on something, like this is a lot of fun, very funny, and I had a good time reading it. I gave it 3.5 this first issue.
Yeah, it looks good, looks interesting, and I might be picking that one up. I like the title though too, One Star Squadron.
Well, it's because there's like a 5-star squad, yeah, right. So like this is they're all trying to like grab money on
like the Yelp rating, 1 star.
It's very funny, man. Yeah. Well, you know what? If I get you interested in it, I might end up picking up the next issue then too, because I did enjoy it. It's just like it's a 6-issue miniseries though, so yeah. It's really good. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so I'm coming up next here with Star Wars Crimson Reign. Now, I don't know about these Star Wars comics, but I'm starting to get stuck down a rabbit hole. I bought one last week because they had a cool Darth Vader cover.
Yeah.
And then, this week you got some Crimson Reign. I guess it's some crossover event going on in the Star Wars world. Sort of fleshes out the movies a little bit.
Yeah.
I think for the timeline, I'm not exactly sure when this happens. But basically, this character here in the front, she's trying to put together a team to topple Darth Vader and Palpatine. So it's almost like a Suicide Squad sort of thing. She's putting together a bunch of bad people, running through the universe, doing bad things to bad people to sort of start anarchy there, because I guess anarchy is what I guess Darth Vader isn't about. He's about order, and she's out there to upset the order to try and get his attention, and through her plans and schemes to topple him. It's not a bad story, it's nice reading there. They have a few throwouts to Yoda and some of the Star Wars characters. I'll give it a good 3.5 there. I don't know if I'm going to continue reading this. I'd like to, but these pull lists are getting bigger and bigger every week.
Same. I understand. I understand. I've whittled mine down over time to where usually a regular week for me now is about 10 comics. Like this week I had about 10 comics. So that's usually the norm for me, 9 or 10 comics. But there was times in the past years ago where I'd have like 20 fucking comics a week. And it was just like, I got to start.
Yeah, it just gets too much.
Absolutely. You can't read it all, man. And that's why I like hearing about some of the things that I'm not reading when you talk about them on the show here. That's why this is kind of fun to do. Yeah. So this is a miniseries then, right? Like a 5 or 6 issue miniseries, I guess, or?
I'd imagine so. Yeah. I think it crosses over into like the Darth Vader titles and what other Star Wars titles they got going on,
Right. Okay. So next up, we got Dark Knights of Steel #2. Me and Chris really we enjoyed the first issue of this. I think we read this prior to starting the show, so this is the first time I guess we're talking about it on the show here. This is basically a fantasy take, kind of like Game of Thrones-esque kind of reimagining of it's like swords and sorcery type of reimagining of the DC universe, essentially. So what do you think of this? So all like your favorite characters all kind of reimagined and are kind of different in a way somewhat, more to fit this kind of era, like essentially this period of time, or this kind of like this fantasy world that they got set up here. What do you think of this, Chris? Second issue.
Yeah, I'm still liking it. I'm liking that you get to learn a bit more about the players. They've added a few new players in there. I guess there's the House of Jor-El. That's the Superman family.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who those other people are on the other side that they're fighting.
I thought that was maybe Black Lightning. You know, the character Black Lightning. I didn't know if he had daughters or not. Maybe that's something that's newly established for this, but he's the only guy I could think of because he is a black guy and he did have lightning powers. So I'm not too sure because I'm not either, to be honest with you. That was my best guess. I'm sure we could look into it and find out if we did.
Or maybe they'll explain it later on. I don't know.
Yeah,
and then with the Amazons thrown in there too now, they're on the playing field, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking the House of Superman there, they might not be the good guys in this story either, you know?
No. So, like, in the first issue, you found out that Superman, basically, like, the king's hand, essentially, which was Superman's father, his hand was Batman. Like, Batman is, like, his knight that's supposed to look over him. And his son, Superman, essentially. But and then at the end of the first issue, Jor-El gets shot by an enchanted arrow from like a forest far away, and it turns out it was Green Arrow's arrow that was enchanted, I guess, by I thought it was
Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, yeah. And now since then he's kind of fucked off, and they're basically out looking for him right now. But it seems that Constantine is the one that got tasked with basically setting this whole thing in motion. So now it looks like there's going to be a war between like all of these kingdoms in this realm or whatever, like Game of Thrones-esque style. And that's essentially what happened. Jor-El got shot in the eye by an arrow, got killed at the end of the first issue. But then you also found out that Batman is basically the Jon Snow of this story. He's the bastard son of Jor-El, and no one actually knows at this point. So it kind of like his actual son Superman is kind of like a hot. Well, no, actually, no. He's like more of the sensible one, it seems like so far, and Batman's kind of more he fucking cuts some guy's arm off, the Green Arrow's arm off.
Oh yeah, I like that. That was good. He took care of business.
Yeah. I mean, I like that. He's like, I don't kill, but he's like, I'll cut your fucking arm off. Like,
you're an archer and you have no arm. You're pretty much shutting them down.
My favorite scene was actually when Harley Quinn, basically the jester, and as she thinks of herself an advisor to the family, her and Batman are walking through all the cells in the net, and you basically see like King Shark and all these all these other villains or whatever, people that have been identified as villains, maybe not our villains, but like they're all behind the bars, and they're kind of each panel they're walking by and talking all the way up to kind of Green Arrow after the imprisonment. I like it. You're right. It's a cool reimagining. I think it's something different. If you're looking for something different than the current like status quo of all these books in DC, this is a nice aside to all that kind of stuff. Just like the DC Vampires one, they're doing a horror book, they're doing a fantasy book. Why not do books like this, right? It's a great opportunity with these characters.
Yeah, I know why, but DC has something against those Green Lanterns. They all seem to be the bad guys.
Trouble. Oh, and then the other thing I wasn't sure about that I wanted to check in on with you is it looks like Supergirl is actually brought her sisters with Superman. It seems like in this, like it seems like she's in a relationship with Wonder Woman because
and Lois is there. She's over on the. That
was Supergirl, though, right?
I think Lois was the one that brought the news.
Yes, to them in Amazonia, and then Supergirl kind of went back because she had heard about the fact her father was dead. And Supergirl,
I guess she's the part of the family there as a sister. That's the way I took it.
Yeah, Supergirl and it looks like Superman are a brother and sister in this, as opposed to cousins in the regular DC universe. I think.
Or they could be cousins still. Who knows?
Oh yeah, that's true. Maybe maybe that is true. That's the thing that I like about this too. They're not hitting you over the head like, oh, this is this person from the comics and this is that. You have to kind of figure it out for yourself.
Because isn't Amanda Waller in there? She's one of the generals of of the House of Superman or the House of Jor-El, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's not like, hey guys, guess who this is? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they're just like, if you know, you know. If you don't, guess what?
Yeah, if you don't, you'll figure it out later on as time goes on. You know?
Yeah. So what'd you give this one?
I'll give this an easy 4.5. I'm liking this story. I'm liking the art. I'm liking the art in this too. And, it's just something it's a good read, and I look forward to reading it when they come out.
I'm gonna give a 4 to this one. I think it's another good chapter in this storyline so far. It's a 12-issue mini. We're in issue 2. I can see this building and build. I mean, I look forward to it every time it comes out, though. It's one of the first things I read. So, I mean, if that gives you any indication of how excited I am by this series, yeah, it's really good. A lot of fun so far. So, but yeah, I'll give a 4 to this one myself. All right. So next up, we got crossover number 10. This is a series from Image Comics, written by Donny Cates. This is basically like an interesting series where it's very meta, like it's very inside baseball. If you know the comic industry, like there in this story, there's comic book characters exist, like outside of like comics. Like there actually is a world of comic book characters that exist, and what's happening in this story is we're at a point in time now in the world where they basically have done away with like everything to do with comics. Like if you read comics, you gotta like read them secretly, and if there's secret like comic book stores in the city that are kind of operating maybe under the radar, this kind of thing, because they're known. They basically, the world now is inside of like a bubble essentially, because they're afraid of the outside influence of these comic book characters. And basically when it happened years ago, I guess there was some sort of cataclysmic event involving the comic book characters. So in this thing, what he's been having a whole lot of fun. And he's actually been a bunch of Image comic characters and other comic characters that I guess he got the rights to have been showing up in the pages of this. Like you've seen Spawn, and you've seen like all these kind of like Powers, like the Powers comic. If you know those characters, they made a cameo in this one. So all these kind of like comic book characters from Image, and maybe some of the ones he's given that they allowed him to use or at least make look like the characters from Marvel and DC, have been popping up in the pages of this. And also there's a murderer that's tracking down comic book writers in this. So like actual comic book writers are depicted sometimes in the comic and talked about in the comic. And there was even an issue a few issues ago where Chip Zdarsky, the writer and artist, he was actually in the comic, and his comic book self, Chip Zdarsky, because like I guess he showed up in one of his comics before. It showed up and had to basically warn him about whoever's coming to kill him. So like there is a serial killer tracking down comic book artists and writers in this storyline. So like if you're in the comics and you're into the industry and you know the comic book creators, this is a hell of a lot of fun. But if you aren't really, or you don't really know about like these guys, or really know too much about the comic book industry and stuff like this, I don't know who this is for. Like this is for those people that are really into comics and know the inner workings. And like, I don't know, that is the target audience, I think, for this book. So if you would just have a slight appreciation of comic book creators and characters, you could have some fun with this. But for somebody that kind of knows a lot about it, as I do, and I guess a lot of other people maybe that follow, creators very closely, this is a hell of a fun book. So I gave this issue a 4. I think it's really fun. And yeah, Image Comics prints it. Check it out.
Nice. Okay, so I think I'm coming up here with X-Men Legends, number 9. This is a bit of an homage cover there too, with the Wolverine with the claws in front of his face.
Yeah.
The Hulk, and I think this has been homaged by other artists for other titles. That's pretty much the reason I bought this comic too. I got his claws up there. Pardon me?
The McFarlane cover too, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got his claws up there, and I think you got Lady Deathstrike. Got Omega Red and Sabretooth in his reflections. So I think these are just these are kind of new stories from back in the 90s there.
They're stories being told from creators that worked on the X-Men back in the day. They're bringing them back and telling new stories like took place in those time periods. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're nice. It was a good story. It was, it was a good read, a lot of action and all that, but since it doesn't really have anything to kind of, I don't know, to do with the modern day timelines, it's a bit, kind of just leave a bit wanting more, I guess, or just a bit blah. But it's a good story, a lot of action. It's always takes you back to the times, to have Wolverine and Sabretooth kind of fighting side by side, and then them just giving grief to each other while they're doing it.
Yeah. And
I think they're trying to save 2 kids that are mutants or something. And I think at the end of it, they just pop into the future. So, nothing, there's no big surprise at the end of these. There's no cliffhangers or no big reveals. They're just kind of fun stories, and everything kind of works out at the end. And they don't change any of the timelines that they're from either. So,
Right.
but either way, it's a great drawn comic, great cover. I'd give that a easy 3.5.
Okay, cool. All right, next up we got Fantastic Four Life Story number 5, and this is like, I guess, the 2000s. This started in the 60s, and every issue out of this 6-issue miniseries is taking place in a different decade there. So it started 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and now we're in the 2000s. Or wait, was that 80s, 90s? Well, no, I guess it started in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000. Yeah, okay, issue 5. Okay. And then I guess, yeah, the last issue, which is going to be acting as like an epilogue of sorts, because most of the shit, it seems like, happened in this issue of the story that's been basically building this whole time, will be, I guess, in the last issue past 2010. Yeah, so this whole story of the Fantastic Four Life Story has been about a retelling, a reimagining of the whole Galactus coming to Earth story. The whole classic FF story. From back in the day of him busting out the ultimate nullifier there and basically tricking him and from not destroying the Earth, right? So yeah, in the first issue, they basically got their powers, like the origin that we all know about Fantastic Four when they went on their space voyage, but in doing so, Reed Richards had a vision, or what he saw when he was in space, Galactus, and he had like this whole feeling of impending doom that he is going to one day come for them and the Earth. And since then, he's been working and theorizing and trying to figure out a way to basically stop him for the eventual like doomsday kind of scenario where he is going to come and destroy them. And every decade leading up to this, like, people thought he was like a crackpot at one point. Like, even though they're heroes and they protect them and all this kind of stuff, like his theory of Galactus actually coming, they didn't know if it was actually going to come to fruition. They're like, what the fuck is this guy going on about? Like, it became like it was like this crazy theory. And then I guess in the last issue, it was the moment when the Silver Surfer comes to Earth and basically warns them, essentially. And he kind of, at that point, everybody actually knew that he was telling the truth, that he was on the level, and like, we better start preparing and all this kind of thing. And then this issue, basically, again, he comes to Earth, and the twist is Silver Surfer says, like, we need a new herald. I'm dying, essentially. Like, my time is coming to an end, so we need a new herald. So Galactus wants you to become his new herald, to Reed Richards. If you do this in a couple of years, when Galactus comes to Earth, we will not destroy you. We'll let you, but you will become the herald, essentially. And I'm gonna, I'll finally be able to die finally, and basically you're gonna have to serve him for I don't know how many years now. And he refused. He was like, no, I'm not doing that. He's like, as much as I'd like to, no, you should know that making another being powerful, whatever, is not going to solve anything. And the whole kind of like process is just going to start over again. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to be attributed to being part of that. And he's like, okay, suit yourself. And then he kind of goes off and he sees Dr. Doom. And Dr. Doom's got this whole other theory about, like, basically, like, guess what? You come and work with me, and I'll make these guys beg. Like, I'll have all these, like, humans. Every year, 500,000 humans, I'm going to let you eat them or something. Like, it steal their life, their energy or something like that. And we'll work out a deal. Like, he's trying to, like, he's Dr. Doom, so he's got this whole crazy villain kind of concept of it. He's like, that's, of genocide, I guess, in that sense. Yeah. He's like, that's an interesting way of thinking. He's like, I'll get back to you. He kind of and anyways, the end of the issue, he finally comes, and when he comes, Reed Richards says to him, like, he's like, okay, I changed my mind, I'll become his herald, and just give me a day to be with my family, and then come down and I'll go up to Galactus. He's like, sure, okay. And he's able to die, and he loses his powers, and Galactus, like, he lets him rest finally, and all of a sudden he goes up to see Galactus the next day. And of course the family and him have come up with some kind of way to trick him, outsmart him. Not the same way, like we all know, but they came up with some way to outsmart him. His son Franklin has like some sort of psionic powers in this, and they basically mind fuse with him or something. And Reed channels some sort of energy into his brain and fries his brain, but also fries Reed Richards' brain in the process. And by the end of this issue, he becomes a fucking like vegetable, like he's mind dead, like he's brain dead. He's sitting in the chair. They're sitting there. Human Torch had died in the last issue. They're sitting there at his gravesite visiting it at the end. But he saved the world. But it's just a tragic fucking end for Reed Richards after all this kind of work that he had done, for that to be the end result of what had occurred to him. And this issue kind of focused on the last couple of years of their lives. Reed, his wife, saying to him, just just give it a break. He's like, guess what? We got a couple of years left. Let's live our life, like, because there's no stopping this. You've chosen this path, and that's what they do. So it's actually a very fitting end, man, to the Reed Richards. And I'm looking forward to wrap up next issue to see what the last things he's going to write about this issue, this comic series is. But this is a very fitting. If this was the last issue, I'd be happy with this being the last issue. This is a great fucking issue. I gave it a 5 if you can't tell. Between this and Fantastic Four last week, the main ongoing series, there's some great Fantastic Four series coming out right now for Marvel, guys. So yeah, it's a great Fantastic Four life stories. Check it out. It's really great.
Okay. And what's next on the docket? Do you have another one there, or?
No, you're up next with Hellions 18.
Oh, Hellions 18. Okay.
Last issue, right?
That's it. I got the variant cover there with what's that? The Goblin Queen or the Queen Goblin?
Yeah.
And I think we got Havoc in the back there busting a nut or something. I don't know what's going on. He's looking pretty stressed.
Yeah, well, she's known for her boobage costume that she's always
rocked. Did you get this one too, or is this just me here?
I didn't pick up Hellions. No, I've been reading that one in like a collected edition. So yeah, it's a great series though.
Yeah, so I think in this one here, they have the orphan maker is paying for some crimes. They killed some humans, and so the Hellions are in front of the Quiet Council, and they have to decide what to do with them. And of course, one of the things that they do, I guess that's one of their big laws, is that if you kill humans, they send you to the pit. And the orphan gets sent down to the pit.
Right.
I guess, who's there with the orphan? The nanny?
Yeah.
It's like a little egg character. This is one of my first times reading the Hellions. A little robot egg or something that takes care of the nanny. Or takes care of
orphan maker.
The orphan maker.
Yeah.
He shows up, or whatever, it shows up, and I guess it convinces the Quiet Council to send him with the orphan maker down into the pit. So this is the first time I've seen the pit take someone.
Yeah.
It basically swallows them up.
Yeah.
And they kind of have things going on with the other characters. Wild Child starts taking pills.
Yeah.
To kind of calm down a bit. And there's Grey Wolf or Grey something.
Yeah.
He seems to be putting the moves, or him and Cyclops are kind of getting together. I guess it's the end of the series.
Yeah.
Something's going on.
How about Sinister?
He was in there just kind of running around being an ass, and basically the Quiet Council just tell him to shut up.
Pretty much just...
Because he just wanted to fry him like right off the bat. He didn't care. Like there's a lot of the issue was them kind of discussing what they should do with the orphan maker. Yeah. Since he killed these people. And, Mr. Sinister is just being a goof, just fry him, let's go. There's no, I think what was he had a bit of a line there. He goes, if you silence me, then you silence the council. And if you silence the council, you silence Krakoa. And you can't do that. And then boom, they just silence him. Okay, now let's talk. Let the adults talk.
Right.
But with the Goblin Queen there, Madeline Pryor, I think one of the big things in this issue is that they bring her back to life, and I guess that's why she's on the cover.
Yeah,
and I guess it's to a time where Havoc and her were an item, and so he seems pretty jazzed about her coming back.
Okay,
but there was no sort of end to the issue, and it doesn't say. I guess it's continuing in the Marauders Annual, or if there's a Hellions Annual or something. Right. But I imagine the storyline's going to continue on.
Yeah,
but it was a fun read, seeing what's going on there. It's drawn very well, nice cover. Yeah. I'll give that a easy 4.
Yeah, no, it hasn't been an I think this series is ending with this issue, but like whether that gets spun into another series that they've just announced and they just retitling it.
The storyline has to continue. They can't just bring Madeline Pryor back and then
right.
Not just have her floating around.
I think it's just going to be renamed to something else in this new kind of direction, right? These new slew of books that they announced, right? So, okay. Next up, I got Silver Coin #7. I don't got too much to say about this book. I think it's a great book. If you guys like horror, if you like horror anthologies, every issue is a different kind of story with a different writer, and Michael Walsh drawing it all, who's a great artist. So yeah, I mean, I would, if you like all that kind of stuff, check this book out. It always is something new and fresh and interesting. And this issue basically dealt with a casino and like a blood kind of sacrifice of sorts. A guy that goes to the casino, when he gets his money, gets the silver coin, basically this cursed coin or whatever, and it's like a Mayan casino in Las Vegas. And it kind of all ties into whoever owns the casino basically is like, I guess, somebody back from Mayan times or whatever, that by the end of the issue ends up like killing him, sacrificing him essentially, and taking the silver coin and on to the next person. That's basically the through line of this story, is that this coin goes throughout different periods of time and kind of curses the person ultimately to their death, essentially, in some form with one way or another, right? So it's a great fun series. Like I said, if you like horror and anthology, definitely check it out. I give this issue a 3.5. I felt the writer on this one that came on board for this particular issue was a bit wordy. While every other issue prior to this has been kind of more fast paced and moves the story along and kind of like, because again, you only have one issue to set up this story. This was like a lot of fucking exposition where I'm just like, I don't fucking care about all this stuff. So I gave it a 3.5. It was good though. Ultimately, it was a good ending. And then next up, I got very quickly, What's the Furthest Place from Here, issue #2 by Image Comics. Silver Coin also was by Image. I didn't like the first issue of this series. I only pre-ordered up to the second issue. I thought the second issue was better than the first. It's like a future post-apocalyptic kind of setting with basically kids. Like kids are all kind of running around warring on one another in different territories, and it's like a very weird future setting that I couldn't really wrap my head around very well in the first issue. I don't know if it's going to read better in one chunk or not, like once the collected edition comes out. But for what this issue was, I gave it a 3. I did think it was better than the first issue, the debut issue, which is weird because the first issue was double the size, I think, of this issue. It kind of seemed like it was going to set up a lot, but I just kind of wasn't really into it. So I'm not going to stick with this. I'm dropping this, but yeah, I gave this one a 3. I think it's getting better, it seemed like, from the start, but I'm not very invested in it at this point because of that. So I gave that one a 3. And then, yeah, last off out of these, this week's new release comics anyways, we got Amazing Spider-Man 80 Point Beyond. Chris, what do you think of this one?
I'm glad we saved this one for last. I love this comic. It was a good one. Finally, it's like the first Spider-Man I've read in a while that I've really enjoyed, and it didn't have much. Well, I guess it was a good one. I liked seeing first time seeing Dr. Octopus in a positive light. I wasn't reading when he was the superior Spider-Man or anything like that. So it kind of it's nice to see him not being just his villainous self there. He's kind of looking around, doing what he does to help Aunt May. And then some of the wordplay or some of the conversations between him and Aunt May, like, oh, that's rough.
Well,
it's good.
Well, that's
it's
why.
Funny, I'll say.
Well, that's why I was gonna say I did not like this. So it's interesting. No, I did not like this. I thought it was way too fucking wordy, these conversations that they were having. I thought the writer, I didn't like it. I didn't like it this issue. I'm sorry to say. Like, I'm glad you did, but you didn't
like when they were in the apartment and the guy that's showing the apartment's like, what the hell? I don't care what you guys got to do, but don't do this in front of me. Get the hell out of here.
That moment was funny, yes, but I didn't want it to be the whole issue, this scenario. I didn't get that's what these tie-in issues are. Like, It's basically, I get it. The last one had to do with the Daughters of the Dragon working for Beyond. I get that. But I would have liked there's some other things going on in this issue other than this conversation between these two characters. But like you said, they have a lot of history together. It looks like I was wrong. It doesn't look like he actually remembers that he's Spider-Man anymore. Something must have happened in the comics.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was wrong about that. But I'm glad you liked it, so please talk about it. I didn't like it. I thought it was very overwritten, let's say.
Well, there was the reveal that those UFOs got hired basically by the Beyond Corporation.
Yeah.
And, it's good seeing, I don't know if they're going to be doing some sort of tie-along or running a story with Doc Ock. because basically all that Parker Industry stuff that Beyond Corporation sold was really his stuff.
Yeah, that he
that
set
he
up.
put together. So he
Yeah.
might looks like he's going to be looking into that and causing some stress over there.
Yeah.
And then, I guess I don't know if it's a reveal there, but seeing Peter Parker in the hospital again, those were some nice scenes. Unless he freaking.
It looks like he's fine at the end of this issue, though. That's not he got
Looks
up.
like, well, he's better. He's out of the coma, so that's good.
I think something else is gonna happen because, I'm like, this is way too soon in this Ben Reilly story for this to happen. That's why I was like, he's out of the coma. It was like that Seinfeld episode where Kramer found out in that fucking movie. He finally watched the part where she comes out. He's like, I didn't know you could come out of a coma. It was like, that's just when he finds out the woman comes out of the coma 3 hours into the film or whatever. He's just like, what the hell? I was surprised that he finally he came out of it already. I was like, really? I thought that was going to take longer. So I don't know. That confused me as well. I think something else is going to happen with it at this point, really.
Yeah, I'm sure there's other stuff to go on, but I'm just trying to look through this Devil Rain to see which Spider-Man is in there.
That was Miles, I think.
No, because the other Spider-Man's in there too, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's obviously not taking place in the same, or maybe
Well,
that's why.
It's like it's Ben Reilly because it's the Ben Reilly costume.
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Anyways, because I imagine the timeline of this one's got to be around now too. But anyway, that's just a little side point.
So what'd you give this one then? Sounds like
this easy 4+.
Wow.
I like it. It's good there. I enjoyed that. They could have just had some Mary Jane thrown in there. Would have put that to 4.5 easy.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, man.
No.
I got listen, guys. We're not always going to agree on this show. That's part of the beauty of it, right? We all have our own opinions. I give this an easy 2.5 personally. Yeah, it's I don't know, man. It just didn't do it for me. Maybe I was too tired when I read this one. This was probably one of the last comics I ended up reading the other night when I was checking it out. Because for me, I was like, whoa, this is fucking too many words. I was like, what's going on here? I just felt it was overwritten. I'm like, we get it. You guys know each other. All right, let's get into something else here.
Some of the lines in there. What's that when she goes, it's turning on or something? Or oh, come on, Aunt May, easy there. I know.
Maybe.
And I'm glad I'm glad that she kind of ditched Doc Ock in it too. It's not like that she was just playing him. She was really trying to kind of bring him to the good side, at least. I thought there were some good scenes there with her and Vapor, kind of her way of charming people and his way of just knocking the crap out of people.
Maybe some of the sexual innuendo just went over my head and I didn't appreciate it then.
Because it's seniors.
All right, so we're gonna end on actually a new segment here for you guys. Chris has got something special here for you. Maybe we'll make this an ongoing thing here, time to time, at least whenever he has the interest to do so. We got a new segment here, Comic from the Vault. Chris is going to talk about a comic from the vault, an older, I guess, release that he maybe recently read that he wants to talk about. So go ahead, Chris.
Well, I just this may be a bit of a topical release here, but I guess there's a new trailer out with a certain character that's kind of coming back from the past. And I was kind of looking through my comics. I remember us talking about this. When me and Niko were talking, before, I know months ago, I was kind of just talking about comics. Like, oh, yeah, whatever happened to those Spider-Man 2099 and 2099? Are they worth anything? It's like, it's garbage. But lo and behold, I got Spider-Man 2099 here. Oops.
Yeah.
Number 1, got number 2 on the back, and number 3. And I guess with the new reveal in the Miles or the Into the Spider-Verse trailer, Spider-Man 2099 is floating around in that trailer there too.
Yes.
And I guess this is becoming one hot comic.
The hottest, I think, out of all of them is that one with the black. It's a black cover with the foil kind of it's not that one, but he's got. I think his first appearance, I think, is actually in.
I have that one too. There, it's an Amazing Spider-Man. I think it was like in the last few pages. They just had a preview. I was going to look for that one, but I figured I'd go for the gusto with Spider-Man 2099 number 1.
I've heard tell of somebody getting that for a good deal of $15 this past week. So at a local comic book shop there, I'm aware of.
All I gotta say, these comics are gonna be all 9.8 because everybody just read them once, put them in a bag, and put them away. And nobody reread them again.
Yeah, I've yet to see.
And I'm sure when this comic came out, people were buying like freaking 20 copies of them, thinking this is going to be the next big hit.
That was the speculation era, right?
That's when it was. So I don't think it's be hard to find a Spider-Man 2099.
No, but like Chris just pointed out, if you guys don't already previously own a copy, good luck finding one right now because there's going to be people scooping them up already. But as soon as that trailer dropped, the day of, I'm sure people were out there fucking, already scouring for these issues, right? So, listen, there was some decent stuff, I guess, from the 2099 Spider-Man stuff. Anyways,
well, I looked into that. It's this. I think this comic ran to like about 100 or something like that. So it did have some staying power for 2 or 3 years at least.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's good people on it. Peter David wrote the comic at that time. So like, yeah, it's a comic.
Is it Miguel O'Hara or something?
Yeah, there's people. Yeah, the people are fans of that character, right? So yeah,
crazy name,
But like you said, yeah, it is very hot right now. So did you end up revisiting it at all? Did you read it, or you just kind of pulled it up? Okay.
Got taped up, put together, and when I saw it, I really had no interest in rereading it. But who knows? Maybe not.
Well, there you have it. If there's reason again to bust it out here, a nice little new segment here from Chris, comic from the vault. I did appreciate talking about it and seeing those issues that you got that, like you said, been collecting dust over these years. Well, I wish you the best for those going up in value there, Chris.
Well, who am I going to sell them to? Anyway, comic shop will give me like cover price if I'm lucky. Oh, give me 10 cents for the box. What do you mean? Get out of here.
You have to give me money now for taking a look at this.
Yeah, one of the comic shops. Oh, hey, you want to take a look at this, see if it's worth anything? Oh yeah, it'll cost you $20 to do that. Hey, get out of here.
Exactly. All right, so let's end the show here with what we normally do here prior to talking about our pick of the week here. What are we looking forward to reading next week? You got your list ready there, Chris?
I got my list. You want to go first?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I got Robin and Batman number 2, Hulk number 2, Spider-Man 81, Wastelanders Wolverine.
Yes.
Maybe X-Force 26. And one thing I wanted to ask you about, or if you know anything about, is what's with these Demon Days? I think that Peach Momoko storyline there.
Yeah, Peach Momoko is painting these issues that have been coming out like every 3 months. She's basically doing like a reimagining and like a Japanese folklore kind of tale of the X-Men essentially, and it's supposed to be Psylocke is the main character in it, but each issue has been like with different characters, like Mariko was in it, and Storm I think is going to be in the one next week if I'm not mistaken. I think it's the center of the but yeah, it's been good. Rising Storm is the name of the one next week. Yeah, so it's been good. I've liked it. I mean, if you like her illustrations, she does a lot of cover work. This is her kind of first big interior work, like inside, like a comic that they've allowed her to do at Marvel. So yeah, it's very. If you like Japanese, if you like folklore type stuff, if you like reimaginings of these characters that you know and love, it's been pretty interesting.
Yeah, because when I read like the little blurbs there when they come out, I have no idea what the hell they mean. So.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I'll wait till it's a better character, but maybe I'll pick it up if it's a bit of a light week next week too. I find myself, I go to the comic book, if I only got 2 or 3 in my hand, somehow I end up just freaking looking around and picking up a bunch more,
Might as well pick up a couple others, try them out, see if it's something you want to continue with, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Especially if it's
what about you? What are you grabbing?
I got Amazing Spider-Man, Batman the Imposter. I got that one, Demon Days Rising Storm. So if you do pick it up, I'll be checking it out. I've been following that one. Hulk. What's that?
The Smastronaut.
Yeah, the Smastronaut. Jupiter's Legacy Requiem, Maze Book, New Burn, Primordial, a lot of image books there. Dark Horse, Robin and Batman number 2. I'm really looking forward to that one. Savage Avengers, which I think is, if it's not the last issue, it's the second last issue. That's been a hell of a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that, and Strange Academy. That's what I'm picking up next week. And I'd say out of
That's
these,
supposed to be a good one. That Strange Academy.
it is very good. Yeah, I like that. And so out of these, I would probably say the ones I'm most looking forward to, though, is I'm interested to revisit the Hulk, see what's going on with that, and that Robin and Batman was a hell of a first issue. So I'm looking forward to checking that out again. So. And Savage Avengers too. This is finally coming to an end. So yeah, those are the ones I'm probably most looking forward to out of these. But yeah, it looks like a decent week of books. I got about 12 next week, right? So yeah. If there is anything that tickles your fancy there, feel free to pick them up because it's a big week for me. It looks like so. But yeah, all right. So there you have it, guys. That's what we're looking forward to. That's what we're picking up next week.
That's
Chris, what's your very nice? Yeah.
I'm just seeing my friends here, Iron Man and Captain America. I couldn't pick that one up there. They had a new miniseries that came out this week too, I think. Captain America and Iron Man. That a nice cover, but I don't know. I just didn't see it around. But who knows? I
didn't see that. Okay, so Chris, at the end of all this, what is your favorite book that you've read this week out of the ones we discussed here today?
Let's see here. I'll have to move quick. I haven't finished it, but it's got to be Devil's Reign, I think. I'm looking forward to reading the rest of this, and what I've read so far is so good.
All right. Yeah, that was a close second for me. So, yeah, it's a very, very solid start. I really enjoyed Devil's Reign. For me, though, I would have to go with, again, Fantastic Four, Life Story number 5, the 2000s one. If you couldn't tell. I think it's the only book I gave a 5 to this week, but I just thought this was, since we've been building to this this moment in this series, it's been it was a great issue, and it kind of lots of emotions going on in this one. It ranged from, you know what I mean, like, again, it's seeing the characters age in these Life Story series, because he did a Spider-Man one prior to this. It's interesting to see, because you're never really going to see that. They have to keep recreating and keeping these characters young in the comics for us, right? Or make other versions of them, and they have to kind of keep this fucking money train rolling, right? So you're never actually to get these moments where you actually can see them grow old and kind of have these, these reflections on their life and this kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice. It's nice to see. I really like these Life Story miniseries. They did Spider-Man. They've done Fantastic Four. I hope they continue doing it with other characters. I think they've been very successful. I've enjoyed all of them that they've done so far. So
nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in, as always, to us here on the Late Night Chat Network, Comic Shop Talk. If we continue with the pace that we're dropping them at, in terms of scheduling, it should probably always come out for you guys on Friday or Saturday of the week, let's say. So look forward to that. Make sure you're subscribed, hit the like button, hit the notification bell if you want to be notified of when these videos do go out and up, so you guys can check them out as soon as they get released and that you've read all your books. And I've been having a lot of fun so far with this, Chris. I'm enjoying this, and I'm looking forward to more discussions here throughout the coming weeks.
Yeah, me too. Sounds fun. I look forward to every Wednesday to pick up new comics.
Absolutely. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next time, and thanks for tuning in as always. Later.
Cheers.